So on July 13th, 2024, Donald Trump was the victim of an attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania. The bullet hit his ear. The shooter was killed. It was right before the Republican National Convention. Donald Trump, as we know, went on to win the election. We are a year and a day after that shooting, and there are still, to my mind, a bunch, three at least big questions I have that we don't really know the answers to, which is kind of crazy when you consider that we are talking about the attempted assassination of the former president who went on to be the current president. So let me just go through my three big questions about everything that happened. First big question. This may seem basic, but it's a two-parter. How the heck was this guy, Matthew Krooks, this 20-year-old guy, able to get on the roof of a building that had a straight shot at the stage from less than 300 yards with Trump speaking? And second part of it, why has no one in the Secret Service, as far as I can tell, been fired for this? So I'm not the only one asking these questions. So if you remember that day, Corey Comparatore was actually struck and killed by one of the bullets from Crooks's gun. His widow was on Fox News this past week, and she said this, quote, "Why was that such a failure? Why weren't they paying attention? Why did they think that that roof didn't need covered? I want to sit down and talk to them." Yes! I think that's 100% right. Why did that happen? Trump has been asked about this, and he's basically sought to downplay all of it. He said, well, he shouldn't have been on the roof. Okay, but like, how did we get in a situation where he was on the roof? And what explanation do we have? I will note the Senate committee came out with a report. The Homeland Security Committee came out with a report last week about this, and it's pretty damning, right? Let me read from it. Quote, "What happened was inexcusable, and the consequences imposed for the failure so far do not reflect the severity of the situation." Again, that's a Republican-controlled committee, but they're exactly right. The Secret Service has said they are making changes. Basically, 40 plus changes have been recommended to them. They've said they've made about 20 of them, and that the other 20 are ones they can't sort of do themselves. But I still haven't heard an explanation of how did that get missed? And why isn't someone paying with their job for that? I mean, the job of the Secret Service, right, is to keep the President of the United States safe. Had that bullet been an inch, literally, in a different place, Donald Trump would probably be dead. And so it seems odd to me that we don't know, we haven't seen more consequences for this. We don't know as many details as I'd like about how did he get up there? How did they miss it? Why were people chanting, "There's a man on the roof," and the Secret Service and the local officials didn't see it? Now, yes, a Secret Service counter sniper did shoot Krooks as soon as he heard the shots and killed him. So, you know, that did happen. It could have been worse, obviously, but it still seems odd to me. So that's question one. Before I get to questions 2 and 3, I want to make a pitch to you. I want you to become a subscriber to this channel, because I'm an independent guy. And when I say independent, I mean I'm independent of the two political parties. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I've spent decades as a reporter, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm also independent of legacy media. I did work at the Washington Post. I did work at CNN, but now I'm out on my own. I'm building my own brand. I'm not taking orders from billionaires. I'm not taking orders from corporate conglomerates. It's just me. And I'm making videos every day. I'm on Capitol Hill today. I was going to make a video outside. Too hot, but I made one in my car because I am committed to every single day breaking down the news that I think you need to know through that independent lens, and I hope you subscribe. Okay, big question number 2 that I don't know the answer to. Why did we never get any real after-action medical report on Donald Trump? So, if you remember, he is shot. He goes down. He gets up. He's bleeding from his ear. The Secret Service rushes him. He says, "Fight, fight, fight." It's the perfect blue background behind him, the flag behind him. It's the iconic image of the 2024 campaign. And candidly, one of the iconic images in American politics ever. But then not much. We know he went to an emergency room. We know he was treated by doctors. But those doctors have never ever, as far as I can tell, spoken about anything. They certainly didn't give a press conference, but they've never really said much of anything about where exactly the bullet struck him, what treatment he received, whether there would be any lasting damage. If you remember back about a year ago, the information, this is so weird, the information about Donald Trump's medical situation that we received came via Ronny Jackson. Now, Ronny Jackson is a doctor, but he is the former White House physician, not the current White House physician, a former White House physician who is now a member of Congress from Texas and one of the sort of most pro-MAGA, pro-Trump members of Congress out there. So it was very weird that Ronny was like, he got shot here and this is what happened. It's just odd to me we never heard anything more about it. Now, I assume the Trump people didn't want a bunch of information getting out. And okay, but like, this is a president of the United States who was literally almost assassinated. And yet, if you think about what we know, other than it hit him in the ear, what we know is very vague. And what Trump has said about it is very vague. Now, let me be clear. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I do not think Donald Trump was not actually shot by a bullet. He was shot by shattering glass from the teleprompter or something like that. I think he was actually shot. I'm not questioning that. My only point here is, when a president gets shot, you would think we would know more about how he was cared for, more about the backgrounds of who cared for him, and we wouldn't be getting all of our information from a guy who is a doctor, yes, but is also a member of Congress who was not, I assume, on the treatment team for the president. Okay, that's my big question number 2. My big question number 3. Why did Matthew Krooks, this 20-year-old kid, why did he do it? Rand Paul, who's the chair of the Homeland Security Committee, who released their report last week, he basically has gone on TV and said, we're never going to know. Yes, of course, I and everybody else wants to know, but we're never going to know. And the reason that he is cited is because Krooks was, as I said, killed by a Secret Service counter sniper seconds after firing his shots. He did not leave any kind of note. He had a very light social media presence. Both sides, both political parties have sort of claimed that this was a political act. It's not entirely clear to me if it was a political act. There's some evidence he had registered as a Republican, but he clearly was someone who was in significant mental distress. And maybe that's the why, right? Maybe the why is this is a troubled individual who did this, and we're never going to know anything beyond that. But man, for an act in an event that really did reshape the presidential race, look, we had just gone through Joe Biden's terrible debate performance. I thought Donald Trump was going to probably eke out that race anyway, but when he was shot and then his reaction, the fight thing, I think ultimately that probably convinced a lot of people that Donald Trump was in fact not exaggerating about there being a conspiracy out to get him, that the deep state really was somehow afraid of him and would do anything at all costs. It did affirm him as a victim in a lot of people's eyes. So it is a seminal event in that campaign. I mean, how could it not be? And yet we really know almost nothing about the guy who perpetrated it. And Rand Paul, at least, is saying we never will. I don't know. To me, for an event that is so incredibly historic that changed the tides of history, or at least adjusted the tides of history, we don't know as much about it as I would, in our current information environment, assume we would. And maybe we never will, because we're a year out from it now. I don't know that in 2 years people are going to be focused on it more. But I find that kind of remarkable, and I just wanted to raise those 3 questions with you. So the 3 questions: why did it happen? How did it happen? And why was no one fired in the Secret Service? That's 1. 2, why don't we know more about sort of the medical stuff that was done to treat Trump and hear more from his doctors? And 3, why did this guy Matthew Krooks do it? Those are my 3 big questions. If you have questions, throw them in the comments section and let me know what they are, because I still think there are things that we don't really know about this, which I think is kind of amazing. As I said before, you can also subscribe to this channel. Like this video, helps me with the algorithm, helps me get my content out to people who are not already subscribers. You can also just tell somebody that you see on the street, or a friend, or somebody's in your book club, or somebody at church. Just tell them, hey, this guy's making videos. He used to work at these big legacy media places. He's out on his own now. He's calling balls and strikes no matter what uniform the batter at the plate is wearing. That would really help me, and I very much appreciate it. All right, take care.